healthy relationships require healthy communication. That means talking about things even when it's hard. Not just sharing the good news, not just keeping things light and easy and happy, because that's not life, right? Life is both. Life has good stuff and it has things that are uncomfortable and challenging. And having tough conversations is part of that. This is how emotional intimacy is built. It's not through things being perfect all the time. Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood can change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. This episode is inspired by a post that I saw. I think it was Instagram, actually. The post said, "What's actually healthy despite most people thinking it's not?" And one person responded, "Confrontation. Everybody likes to confuse emotional repression with maturity." And I had so many thoughts come up when I saw this, disagreement and agreement. And I wanted to dive into this because I think that this will help a lot of you. I know I see this a lot in the people that come to work with me. Half of my clients, I'll say, have a hard time having difficult conversations. They're more of the people that will deal with the frustration and have resentment grow rather than adding the burden onto someone else by sharing their dissatisfaction with something. And so I wanted to dive into this post and leave you with a reframe, okay? First, let's talk about what I do agree with about this post. I do agree that emotional repression is not good, and that it often gets confused with being mature when you don't have any kind of reaction to anything, or seemingly do not have any reaction to anything, and you don't get upset. You don't let things ruffle your feathers, and you also don't bring anything out. Now, there's a difference between not actually having a reaction and repressing a reaction, because you don't want to look like you're losing your shit, right? Those are 2 very different things. If you're actually calm and you're not bothered, cool, amazing. But if you are bothered and you're choosing to appear not bothered, that's a problem. That's what creates resentment. That's what creates frustration and the snapping and the irritability and things that aren't so healthy, okay? Now, here's what I don't agree with. It's just one word: confrontation. Confrontation is a very specific type of communication style. And I would argue and say that confrontation is not healthy, okay? So let's define what confrontation is by going to our trusty source here. And I don't mean like grabbing a dictionary and pulling up Merriam-Webster like we used to, but going to Google and just asking it to define confrontation. So Google says, according to Oxford Languages, it is a hostile or argumentative meeting or situation between opposing parties. So let's dissect that. In a healthy marriage, you are not opposing parties. And ideally, we wouldn't have a hostile or argumentative situation, okay? If this is how you feel, if this is how you view all conflict, of course you're not going to want to do it. Of course you're going to avoid it because you're already assuming that it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be emotionally draining. It's going to lead to yelling or name calling or judging or criticizing or crying and feeling awful. and feeling alone, right? If that's what you equate conflict to, of course, it makes sense that you don't want to do it. Of course, you're going to keep your preferences to yourself. Of course, you're going to walk on eggshells with how you talk. But in a healthy marriage, we're not trying to have confrontation. We're trying to have conversations, which is just a talk between two or more people where you exchange ideas and thoughts and news, okay? Information exchange. That's it. And so I want to reframe this so that if you are someone that struggles with bringing up hard topics, I'm hoping that this can give you a little bit of a switch up in perspective and offer you courage to start having those tough conversations, because having tough conversations is a necessity if you want your marriage to grow, if you want it to evolve, if you want it to improve, if you want to be happily married come 30, 40 years from now. Because healthy relationships require healthy communication. That means talking about things even when it's hard. Not just sharing the good news, not just complimenting each other and keeping things light and easy and happy, because that's not life, right? Life is both. Life has good stuff and it has things that are uncomfortable and challenging. And having tough conversations is part of that. That's what brings you two closer together. We get to know each other better through talking. And not only that, but tough conversations allow you to understand each other better. You understand your needs and your concerns and your feelings better. That's what helps you get to know each other on a deeper level, more than your neighbor knows you, more than your friends know you. This is what creates an opportunity for you two to support each other more, to connect more on a deeper level. This is how emotional intimacy is built. It's not through things being perfect all the time and not letting anything ever upset you, because, hello, that is not sustainable or even reasonable to expect your marriage to be like, right? This is not like the Disney movies where it's like, yay, they're together happily ever after. Everything is picture perfect from now on. You know from being alive, being human, that that is not how life works, right? Things pop up. Whether it's inside your marriage or something outside your marriage affects your marriage. Life together, it feels full and satisfying because you are handling things together as a team, because you two are willing to be open with each other, to be vulnerable with each other, and be there for each other and have each other's backs and support each other. So keeping the peace sounds good on paper, but when you keep the peace, you are suppressing your emotions. That's not maturity. That's abandoning yourself. That is creating resentment. That's choosing to make life feel heavy because you're not releasing the pressure of talking about it, of feeling hope that things can change by bringing it up with your partner, by collaborating together as a team to make things better. And I'm going to reference a Disney movie because I love Disney. It's like the movie Encanto, the sister Luisa, right? She's got that amazing song. I mean, that whole soundtrack is amazing, but that song about all that pressure, about her burnout because she's not voicing that they have her doing too much, that she can't handle it all. And what does she do? She ends up losing her strength because she's taking too much on. She's burning out. And so when you don't bring something up, it doesn't just go away. All it does is build, right? Like I recently released an episode about this. So go check out last week's episode 221. It's all about resentment and how to think about it differently. Because you don't ever want to get to a point where you're offering these surprises to your partner in the form of explosive arguments or snapping at them, blowing up at them, right? That's not healthy. And so let's stop looking at being open and transparent and vulnerable as confrontation. Because like I said, with your marriage, your goal is to be on the same team, on the same side, not be opposing parties. You can still disagree and still be on the same side. And you can have a disagreement and conflict without being hostile or argumentative. And so let's reframe how we view conflict, because conflict does not mean arguing, right? I have a saying, which I surprisingly haven't said in a while on this podcast. So if you're new to this, welcome. But I have a phrase that conflict is inevitable, but arguing is optional, which means that tough conversations don't have to mean confrontation. You don't have to approach it by attacking each other. You can approach it by just opening up a dialogue. You can use healthy communication skills and approach your concerns assertively instead of aggressively or passively, right? The goal is to speak to each other assertively, which means you're advocating for your needs, but you're doing it in a way that's still respectful. It's respecting you, it's respecting the person you're talking to, and you're open to having it be a two-way conversation, not just you wagging your finger and blaming and criticizing them and basically chopping them at the knees to make them feel as bad as you feel at the moment, but rather, hey, I noticed something's going on. I'm not okay with it. How can we handle this differently moving forward? So truly coming together to solve the issue as partners. And there's a cost. So I want to flip it now and talk about what could happen if you choose not to have tough conversations, because there is a cost to avoiding having these types of conversations. Avoidance creates confusion, creates disconnection, and also creates resentment. So I've been talking a lot about being blindsided. This is where it comes from when you avoid it. Your partner can be blindsided, and then you'll start to feel unsupported, invalidated. You could feel like you're not seen. And these unspoken issues start to grow into a bigger issue than they need to be. Because the longer you wait, the harder it is to bring it up. It's going to cloud your emotions, and you're going to lack that clarity, and you're going to have a harder time talking about it calmly because it has built up to be something so much bigger that it's tough to go in as someone who is receptive to working through these things together. And your communication style will be more so aggressive than assertive. Real peace comes from clearing things up, not from avoiding them. And the only way to clear things up is by talking it through with your partner. So here's a healthier way to look at it. I want you to start looking at conflict and conversations as maintenance for your relationship. It's like going to the doctor for your annual checkup, right? During that checkup, they're checking your vitals. You get to talk to them about anything you're noticing lately, and you're bringing things up before they turn into big things. And so in this world of the medical field, preventative care is always going to be better than being in crisis mode. Same thing for your relationship. When you speak up early, that's when things can change more easily. That's when both of you will be able to hear it without feeling so defensive. And that's how your marriage can last for decades and not just get by. That's how your marriage can be set up for success. And another reframe that I want to offer you is that people only bring things up when they care. So if you want your relationship to succeed, sharing how you feel and what you are needing is a way to show that you care, okay? And this goes both ways. You can show you care by being curious about what's going on with your partner's life, whether they're happy in the relationship, what they think can improve their experience in the relationship. And you can show you care by having hard conversations as a way of wanting to deepen the relationship, to improve it, versus making things harder by ignoring them, letting it grow. And it's kind of like a weed, right? I say resentment is like a nasty weed. You've got to get rid of it as soon as you notice it. So I want you to take some time and ask yourself, am I avoiding a conversation because I'm afraid of conflict? Am I looking at conflict as confrontation? What are some things that I want to speak up about sooner instead of louder? Okay. Learning healthy communication makes a huge difference in your relationship. Tough conversations don't have to be confrontations. They can feel like a way to connect. So if you are wanting to feel more confident about bringing up tough conversations, about turning conflict into connection, I have a free guide for you to check out. Okay, download this guide. It's going to help you approach tough conversations with more clarity, with more confidence, with more intention, so you can start to move through these conversations much more productively and create that connection, that closeness, and that intimacy that you want in your marriage. Okay? And that's it for this episode. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Better yet, tag me in your stories so I can give you a shout out. And if you love the show, please show some love by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen, so that this show can continue to grow and more people like you can find the show and get the support that they need. And that's it. I will catch you back here on the next episode. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.